Welcome back to my Thoughtful Thursdays video channel. I'm so excited to have you here with us today. This is our channel where we talk about important topics both inside and outside the church. Today I'm excited to have Deric Kimler with us. So thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate that. Before we get going, I just have a real quick little gift I wanted to give you.
Oh.
So,
well, thank you.
I saw that you like red wine, and the other thing you might like too.
Oh yes, this is. I literally complimented him with it on his tie as soon as he walked in.
I thought you might need one of those.
I love this, and I know my boyfriend's gonna hate it, which will make me love it even more.
Okay, good. That's what we're hoping for.
Thank you very
much.
No
problem. You bet. So I met Deric. Well, I knew of Deric from a long time ago. I went and saw a musical at Cornstalk Theater in the outdoor theater called Memphis, and I can't tell you how amazing he was. He played the main Huey. Hackadoo! To make fun of myself a little bit, I had messaged you a long time ago. I fanboyed you.
Yeah, he did.
And,
he did.
Or stalker? What? I don't know the difference. Fanboy, stalker.
Thank you for that compliment. But all I did was play a little bit of me and my uncle, and a little bit of the drunk guy in town, and then you got Huey from Memphis.
So excited to have Deric on our channel today. I've been able to fanboy over you in the past and just kind of admire you from a distance, and now I've gotten to see you close up, which is kind of fun. And so I've said that you have an infectious smile, and your laughter is just amazing, and getting to see you and talk to you is awesome.
Well, thank you.
You're a very appealing person, and you're a very motivating person.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
What are some things that maybe you're passionate about, things that you've been doing in your life, and things that you're working on right now?
The Chicago Cubs.
Okay. That's it. That's it.
Done. Interview over. No, I am very much passionate about baseball. I love baseball. I love the sport. I'm not going to bore all you non-baseball lovers out there. That being said, my true passions, although my mediums are baseball and theater, my true passion is helping people. I'm involved now with Central Illinois Friends as the executive director as of the last 4-ish years now, which seems like yesterday.
I wonder if you could talk about that Friends organization to some of my viewers and let them know a little bit about what you guys do there.
Do you mind if I ramble a little bit?
I want you to ramble.
Okay. Central Illinois Friends is a long past here in Peoria that a lot of people don't know about, but that's by design. We started back in the 80s helping people that were dying of AIDS-related conditions be as comfortable as possible in their last days. And the reason why why they needed that service is because hospitals were kicking them out, our local hospitals. Hospice centers refused to take them. Most people's families and friends even cut them out of their lives. There's actually a story of a woman who was visiting her best friend in the hospital, and she noticed that the person across the hall wasn't getting the care that her friend was getting, and that nurses didn't want to go in there. So she ended up going into that room, and all the guy was wanting was his mother. One nurse finally gave her the phone number to his mother, and when calling his mother, she said he was dead to her and died a long time ago. She went back in to tell him. He looked up to her and said, "Mom, I knew you'd make it." And she sat down next to that bed and said, "Son, I'm here for you." And he died that night. And it gets worse. The hospital then cremated him because there was nothing else to do with the body, and sent it to her house. She ended up getting hundreds of those boxes of cremations from that hospital. Wow. Organizations like Central Illinois Friends popped all over to be the friends of those who didn't have any, to be the family of those who were casted out for no reason other than stigma. Because of that stigma, Central Illinois Friends went underground. We helped people living with HIV because it became more manageable at that time, but we didn't want people to lose their jobs. So we went underground and helped people with rent and utilities and transportation, and we went from helping people be as comfortable as possible in their last dying days to helping people live a long and healthy life. Wow. And now we've turned the corner again, and we're helping end HIV.
Yes.
We are now getting to the point where we can get to 0 new HIV diagnoses. So if you're living with HIV today, you can get to an undetectable status, which means you are completely untransmittable. We're in a place where we can do it, but we got to have access to care. We have to tear down those barriers that we have in place. And in doing so, we've kind of added these new programs that kind of go with each other. So now we're doing free STI testing and education, complete free sexual health. That's gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, herpes, hepatitis, ABC, HIV, completely free, comprehensive sexual health, education, testing, all free, no questions asked, no barriers. And what we've learned is another barrier is to healthcare is LGBTQ. So I'm actually proud to say that we have now developed a new program and are launching a new clinic in Peoria and in Bloomington to provide LGBTQ healthcare services. Went from this small little thing to this large organization providing service to over 4,000 people. And I guess my main point is, now you know the history of Friends. Now you know what Central Nick Friends is doing and what we're doing. The most important thing there is we're 32 years into this now as Friends, 31 years. It started with a group of people in a living room. A group of people that were just concerned about about how people were treating other people.
Right.
And now look at what it's become.
It's amazing.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep pushing.
I feel like I'm talking to like a superhero right now.
Not
no, I know you would say that. But I spent some time looking over your website, and I saw that you have some amazing people that work with you too. So,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. A lot of our team is phenomenal.
Yeah. So you just had an important board of directors meeting with District 150, talking about this inclusive curriculum, and I want to know a little bit more about that.
Yes. Central Nick Friends does provide education in the schools.
Okay.
We also do a GYT, which is Get Yourself Tested Days, where we do testing within the schools, free testing to all the high school students.
Yeah.
We have actually lowered STI rates in the Peoria Public Schools for sexually active teens from 23% to 6% in 3 years.
That's massive.
And we couldn't have done it without Holt Center for Healthy Living, Center for Prevention of Abuse, all these organic organizations.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm telling you that.
Okay.
Dr. Karat found out that there was a new mandate that the Illinois House passed that said that you must include LGBTQ history in your current curriculum. So she teamed with the organizations Holt Center and Central Illinois Friends who provide that representation.
Yeah.
We've been working on this ever since, and we started working with an organization called Legacy Project of Chicago, which provides an up-to-date version of history that is all LGBTQ+. So let me give you an example.
Yeah.
George Washington Carver was a gay man. Okay?
Yeah.
We're all taught about George Washington Carver.
I'm learning it right now, yeah.
Thank you for peanut butter, okay? Thank you for peanut butter, and also thank you for being you.
Yeah.
He had a lifelong partner that he had for years. And that's important for kids to know.
Absolutely. Representation matters.
Representation matters. Catherine Lee Bates. We sing that song all the time, America the Beautiful, and the words came from a lesbian woman. Frederick von Steuben, one of our schools, von Steuben, was a gay man, and he was also the father of the U.S. military. So it's ironic that the man who started an organization that kept people like him out for so long was actually a gay man. These are all stories that matter. Native American populations, our indigenous people, as well as the Malaysian population and Thailand, have been celebrating transgenderism for centuries. This hasn't popped up since the 80s. This isn't 1970s, 1980s. LGBTQ individuals have been around forever. And we need to let people, specifically those kids that are having identity crises in their schools, know that it's okay to be gay. It's okay. There are people, you can be something big. You can be larger than life, just like everyone else sitting in that schoolroom. There's one part that's so important about this curriculum that we oversee, and it's a hard conversation to have. But a lot of kids experiment sexually, whether it's in their mind, whether it's in porn, or whether it's actually sexually. When you know what heterosexuality is, when you know what gay and straight and lesbian and bisexual and transgender is, when you have representation, you are less likely to need, to wonder, to question, to experiment which can be very harmful. We're also cutting back on that experimental stage. We're providing a platform for people to make educated decisions to be themselves.
Right. Yep.
Rather than to pretend they're something they're not. There's two things that people get tied up on. One is sex. And I know I just talked about sex, but we're talking about history here. Why is it that we can talk about presidents and their first wives, but not talk about what parts they have and how they use them? But when we talk about a gay or transgender or lesbian person, we want to talk about sex. Yeah. This isn't about sex. This is just simply providing the reality that this person was transgender, gay, or lesbian. When we're talking about elementary school, when we're talking about pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, it's not like we're going to be including the fact that George Washington Carver was a gay man and what that means. We know that goes over their head. What we are talking about is mommies and mommies and daddies and daddies. And students are going to schools who have mommies and daddies are just a dad or just a mommy or just a non-binary parent. And that's okay. And we need to let them know that that's okay. What we're running into is something that you've talked about on this channel multiple times, which is there are people using religion as a weapon against providing actual factual history.
That actually kind of is a segue into my next question for you, which is a little bit about religion. And I'm just interested to know if you've had a lot of that pushback. It sounds like you have. But maybe in your own personal life, I have a brother who is gay, and I'm proud of him, and he's out, and he has been for a long time, and he is HIV positive, and so my entire family has had to go through the gamut of this for quite a while now, and I just love him. I'm so proud of him. He's just been published in a book about it, like a short story about like dog owners who are HIV positive, and so I'm super proud of him. And Brandon,
that
you're
is
awesome.
Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. You
know?
Go
get it, Brandon.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Get it, girl.
Yeah, I was not the best religious person for a long time. I kind of had been tainted by this poisonous religious experience that we're talking about. And I'm just wondering, do you have a past in that? And what does that look like for you? And maybe you want to talk about hurt and feelings and stuff like that.
Yeah. We're getting deep.
Yeah.
I was heavily involved in church when I was in when I was in high school. I became a leader of my youth group. I used to preach. I was actually, a lot of different denominations used to ask me to come preach on Sundays. Assemblies of God, Baptist, Methodist. My message was breaking down the walls of denomination and getting rid of those barriers. Yeah. Sound familiar? I've always been passionate about it. Yeah. But yeah, I've had a lot of bad experiences. And I think it started when, obviously I was having this internal battle myself for my sexuality at the time. And some of that had to do with religion, and some of that had to do with society and my family as a whole. I had zero representation. Yeah. I thought I was a bad person, being told I was a sick pervert. And that destroyed me for a long time. I had a key to my church, so I would go in there when no one else was there, and I would put on music and lay on the floor in the chapel and try to pray the gay away. I cried, I threw things, I broke things, I tried to kill myself. It was bad. And I finally came out at church to my youth group, over 100 people there one night. I became a victim because of that night. There was somebody else there at that church that also struggled, or was gay. Yeah. He, knowing that I could still not be out at home, he used that as leverage against me to get me to get more time with me. Luckily, those certain boundaries were never crossed, but I look back and that was an adult and I was a child, and he used that against me. A lot of LGBTQ individuals need mental health services. And I think a lot of people in church use that against the LGBTQ community of, he's gay and he's got to see a psychiatrist, or they're transgender and they have a lot of mental health issues. Yeah. But make no mistakes. It is cause and effect. We need mental health services not because we're gay or LGBTQ plus. We need mental health services because of the way society has treated us for being LGBTQ plus. Young, gay, and lesbian men and women and transgender individuals are usually victimized sexually because of it, sexually and mentally because of it. Because when they're growing and having that identity crisis, certain predators and people use that as they use any kind of flaw or hole you have to try to use that against you. So that kind of a thing that happens to young children isn't the cause of them being LGBTQ. It's why people sought them out.
In a place like a church where you should be it's a safe place. It should be a safe place.
Should be.
It's
and you want to trust and you want to believe.
Yeah.
I ended up being publicly outed. The person that was, that was kind of harassing me, was fired from his job. And the church just kind of disowned me. I had some bad blood there for a while, but I know that is all because of people and not because of my walk in faith. And don't get me wrong, I still struggle, and it's because religion becomes a weapon. Christians today would deny Jesus service. He wouldn't be wearing the right clothes. He's not dressed appropriately enough for church. He likes to fraternize with those people that we don't like, cares too much about those that are behind bars or don't have as much money as I do. His blood would stain the carpets.
So 2 questions to kind of finish up. Tell us something that's completely random and unexpected.
I like Busch Light.
You and Brandon would get along. Brandon loves Busch Light.
All right. Busch Lattes, shaken not stirred. I'm Butch. I like to fish. I like to hunt. And and when I say I hunt, I get a deer a year and I live off that deer. I like to camp. I'm very outdoorsy, and I think that's opposite of what many people think I would be like.
Yeah, so. You're right. You're kind of messing up that what people's stereotypes they have. Yep. I like that. And then last question as we reach the end. I think that obviously my viewers have fallen in love with you now because you are you're so eloquent. I could see why people want you to preach at their church. I want you to preach at I don't have a church right now. I want you to preach at it. Yeah. So I want to know, how can myself maybe and maybe my viewers, how can we help you? How can we come alongside you? Is there something like, should we donate money? I mean, what can we do?
Listen.
It's
one thing to hear someone, but it's a different to actually listen to them. And there are people in your lives that are trying to tell you things, and you're just not listening to them. And yes, obviously, donations help. Central and my friends. I have to say that. And our donations go directly to help people living with HIV. But if you know anyone who is in the dating scene, everyone should get tested. If you've ever been sexually active, get tested. Our biggest barrier to get to 0 new HIV diagnoses is getting everyone tested. And the reason why is because 1 in 7 people living with HIV in the United States don't know they are.
Wow.
They don't know they're living with HIV. With that being said, your sex is not cleaner than your friend's sex. Your sex is not cleaner than someone else's sex. There's no such thing as clean and dirty. The majority of people will have an STI, if not have an STI. It's more normal than all of us try to pretend. And by not talking about it and by not listening to people and having those kind of communications and talking to your partner about safe sex practices, we will never be able to lower STIs and get to 0 new HIV diagnoses. Which, last point to that, is our leading cause of ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, rectal cancer, throat cancers, prostate cancers, testicular cancer. The leading cause is sexually transmitted.
Get the HPV shot.
We're talking about cancer prevention.
Thank you all so much for listening to Deric. Deric, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Was quick. Thank you so much again for watching. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place, with another episode of Thoughtful Thursdays. See you later. Bye.